there. So I'm in Puerto Vallarta, and I was just at a fundraiser, so I'm a little bit dressed up. But I do want to talk about a case study I did. Well, it wasn't a case study; it was a client. But I call it a case study because I just found it interesting. So she contacted me and asked me if I had helped anyone with tinnitus before, and I told her yes, I have. And I was very honest about the cases. One woman, she spoke Spanish only, and her tinnitus did improve. And then I worked on a gentleman. That was before I worked on her, and his right ear improved by 50%. And then we worked on it a second time, and there was no improvement. Now, since that time, because I worked on that gentleman a year, I think more than a year ago now. Let's just say a year ago. And I've learned a lot since in terms of how to improve the healings. And for him, I only did the physical. We didn't do any emotional clearings, or I didn't do anything intuitively about what blocks were connected with it. And so this time, when I worked with this woman, she did hire me to help her. And so I was able to help her in ways that she didn't even expect. So that's the beauty of the energy healing that I'm doing. So instead of, not only did I help her with her tinnitus, now I didn't even focus on it at all. She told me that was her goal, to resolve the buzzing in her ears and her hearing. And so I balanced her energy. So what I do is I can see densities in the people's auric field and in their body and in what's going on in their organs when I have their permission. And then I clean it. I help to restructure the energy field. I know that sounds out there and crazy. So our intention is stronger than most people realize. So let me go back a bit so I can share an idea whether you're open to it or not. People who are open to it will listen to it and they'll still be listening. And so when I first did distance healing, I could do healing with people in person, but I wanted to know if I could do distance healing. So at the time when I tried it in early 2020, I had met a oral surgeon. He had retired by then, but he was an oral surgeon for 35 years. His name was Gary. I won't say his name because he's the one who was private. But he did do testimonial for me with his real name. And anyhow, so he had a lot of pain in his trapezius muscles because, as it makes sense, as an oral surgeon, you'd be bending down a lot, operating on patients. And so I was just texted him, and I said, okay, I'm starting now. And so we just talked on the phone briefly, and then we hung up. So I wasn't on Zoom, I wasn't on the telephone constantly. It was just like text, quick call, hang up. And then I texted him here and there and said a few things like, are you feeling anything? Stuff like that. And then I told him when I was finished, basically, right? And so I did a visualization, and I was, visualizing his trapezius muscles and seeing in my mind's eye. I didn't know, it was very new to me at the time, but so I didn't know that what I see in my mind's eye is actually real. I know that sounds really weird or silly, but that's how I was learning, because when you don't know, you don't know. You gotta learn somehow. And so in my intuition, I could see his energy fields. And so I was straightening it out, like in my imagination, with my intention and my full heart energy. I was totally there. Like I noticed nothing else but that image. And then I was cleaning it and making sure it was the fields. Which I see like a field of light, like different layers of light energy around people. And sometimes I see dark spots that shouldn't be there, and that could be emotions. That could be stagnant energy, it could be negative energy, it could be anger, if theirs or other people's, it could be foreign energies, that don't serve us at all. And sometimes it could be really bad energy that shouldn't be there, that affect us in a bad way. Anyhow, so I cleaned his trapezius muscle area in the body as well as the energy fields. And then in about 20 minutes, I think it was 15 to 20 minutes, I told him I was done. And he says, like, amazing. Like it's loosened up. It feels. He was rotating his neck and his shoulder area, and he says like it's loosened. It feels more comfortable. He said this is amazing. So you could use this as a testimony. Be like, but I'll write you a more extensive one, which he ended up doing, which I use on my website. Anyhow, so that's how that started. So, and then I realized. Oh, and then I kept. What do you call it? I kept. Visualizing what I did because I wanted to remember what worked. But what I didn't realize is that as I was every few days I would visualize what it is, so I didn't forget what I did because it worked. And then so I contacted him. Was it 14 days later? Yeah, about 14 days later, 2 weeks later, and I said, "Hey, how's it going?" Right? I was just saying hi. I was curious about how he's doing, but I didn't expect that it was gonna get better or anything. And then turns out he says, "Hey, by the way, like, you know." My trapezius muscles and the shoulder area has been improving on a daily basis. It's improved since the healing. Like it's really good now. It's fantastic. And I said, really? And so that's how I learned that. I learned that intention is powerful, but with energy healing, it can be that powerful depending on your gifts. Everybody. Now let me add this. I believe that everybody has this ability to self-heal. Everybody has intuition. Everything needs to be developed as well. That's the thing. And as with everything, some people have more natural ability than others. With anything. And so, it seems, it appears from the people I help that I have a bit more ability than the odd person. And there are other very talented healers as well. So, anyway, so going back to the story about the peripheral artery disease, was that what I was saying? Anyhow, so I can clear. So that's when I say when I intend to clear blood. Maybe that's more fair to say. When I intend to clear something, when I intend to resolve something, things can happen. I have the success rate is very, very high. It's in the high 90s. Some people have given up on themselves because I know one guy, he tried so many things, and by the time he contacted me, he was already at the, on the edge. He was about to give up already, and so when it didn't improve to the degree that he wanted it, then he didn't want to come back, even though I said, I'll give you another session to make it better, because I didn't focus on the scar tissue. That was within the first 6 months I was working, and I was hadn't honed in what I was doing with really complex conditions at that time yet. Anyway, so the people that it didn't work for, it's things like that where they gave it on themselves, for the most part. Yeah. And so with the tinnitus, I was talking about. So with the tinnitus, what happened was I picked up that she was a trooper, is what I picked up with her. And so I confirmed these things. When I say trooper, I mean like she had this attitude where, oh yeah, this is difficult, but I'll handle it. She had this like toughness about her. She had this, okay, this is tough. I'll deal with it. Done. Like in her mind, things were done. She was like a person who resolved things. That was her energy. That's what I picked up. And so I talked to her about this, and she's, yeah, that's who I am. Like I had a lot of responsibilities. I was the oldest, and then she played the role with her. Her one parent had passed, so she ended up playing her role as a mother. And so I picked up blocks like she needed to become a better receiver. She needed to learn how to ask for help. She needed to have some playtime for herself because she didn't have a childhood. So things like that. And I gave her homework, and I cleared blocks about that with her. And so that is actually cleared up the tinnitus. I didn't even focus on her ears. And then so I worked on one ear more than the other. So then I think it was the right ears I worked on first, and that was really good. And then the other ear, that improved too, but then later that night it improved more from what I remember. But we did 2 sessions from what I recall, and then so the tinnitus improved. And then so basically after the session, not basically, so after the session, she told me that she felt more liberated because she did do her homework. She's very, very disciplined that way. She's very disciplinary and proactive, and so the blocks helped her acting upon the homework to ask for help and to hone in that new energy, that new belief, new way of being. Immediately helped a lot in her changing her habits and her perspective and her creating a new subconscious block of who she is, her self-image. And so her vibration raised because she was, in a sense, what's coming to me right now is like, it's kind of like a little imprisonment where it's like, we are so used to doing one thing or a few things that we kind of imprison ourselves in this little box in one area of our life. In this case for her, it's like all these responsibilities. And, one thing I suggested is like, why don't you like ask for help, like, someone for the time or like where the street is, and then, you can make a little white lie like, your body ran out or whatever. That doesn't hurt anyone. So, and so she was willing to do that. And she said she's never even done that before. It's like, and then I said like, what? You've never asked for the time before? You've never asked someone where the street is? She's like, no. I said, oh my God. And so I thought I was bad at one time because I, didn't ask for help for a long, long time myself. And then so I felt so much compassion for her when she told me that. And so I gave her, homework to make sure that she would develop that muscle where she could ask for people like, freely and more comfortably, so that she would become more comfortable with it, is what I'm saying. There's some people around me, so and so that was part of the healing for her tinnitus. That was the majority of her healing for her tinnitus. And then I followed up with her since then, after the holiday season in December, and she's actually doing better, and she actually is using some essential oil, which is helping to improve it further now. But so the majority of the tinnitus is like, healed really well. And then there's some percentage left, and then she's working on that just with the essential oil now. So that's what happened with the tinnitus. So it's not just the physical, it's the subconscious blocks from our past. And when she's aware of what the connections are, and then I help her let it go, then it's highly, highly, highly likely it will not re-manifest. That's the beauty of this. So, like if we just clear the physical without knowing what our spiritual awareness needs to be, it can re-manifest because the awareness needs to be there in order for your consciousness to rise, to expand, to be high vibration. And so that's part of it. And not everybody is open to that yet. And some people who are, then great, they understand that. And so that was the case with the tinnitus. She's a lovely lady. I could see her, she's got so much more energy and motivation now. And then she even told me that something happened. She was in bed for a week, and she had asked for her friends for help for food and things like that. And she says like, I've come a long way, Elaine. She said, thank you for that. And so it's been way more than a tinnitus healing. It was helped her with her life, with her way of being. So it was very great. It was very fulfilling for me to learn that, and very fulfilling for her, of course, as a client. So there you go. There is my case about tinnitus. So I hope that was interesting, and I'll talk to you in another video soon.